Hello, welcome to the next episode 1 of Let's Innovate for Vegas, our audio program about what we are up to, what we hope to accomplish, and how you can be a part of it. Today we are talking about volunteer projects. So first of all, to remind anyone who didn't listen to episode 0, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. We are a volunteer organization, top to bottom, which means I'm not being paid for this. Nobody's being paid for anything. We do take sponsor money, though, for things like filing paperwork and filling out forms for the city and the state and IRS. But we are otherwise pure volunteer, top to bottom. Part of our ethos is that, I like to say we don't want people, let me try that again. We don't want people to work for free, but we do want to work with people who are willing to work for free. And I do the very same. So I work on everything you will hear about and everything I talk about completely for free because I believe in what we're doing and trying to elevate our communities, our ecosystem as a whole, whether it's our entrepreneurial ecosystem or just living and visiting Vegas, right? Living in and visiting Vegas. So we're an all volunteer organization. We are powered by sponsorships and donations. So I'm not really... I'm not asking for that right now, but in general, if you see us, if the things we're working on start to get some attention and you want to be supportive and be a part of what we're doing, your time and or financial support, always welcome. So yes, that is our volunteer organization. We began in 2022. We started off with monthly hackathons and based on a project focus. So we'll get into this more in another show, like per project probably, but another episodes. But we started with open transit because our transit system in the Las Vegas area is in need of help. And so the goal there would be people who live here and possibly even who use our public transit services in its various forms, whether it's just the normal public transit buses or special buses. There's a paratransit. There's some other specific localities have different bus services. So kind of bringing all those together with local software and user interface even, which needs a ton of work. So Code for Vegas, when we started, took that as our first project, and we had a hackathon around it. And so each project that we kicked off, we would have an associated month-long focus and a hackathon, and that sort of continues, although we've not added more projects because there are already plenty, which I'll get to in a moment. So we do, though, have an intent once we have people that want to design design. We have CodeFor and CreateFor portals or entrances, if you will, to our Innovate for Vegas Foundation efforts. I have a picture I often show, but I will not describe it in too much detail, but it's essentially a fast food restaurant that has a KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and a Taco Bell entrance, 2 separate entrances. They go to the same dining room. They're serviced by the same kitchen. They're owned by the same company. So some people might want KFC. Some people might want Taco Bell. So when we were forming Code for Vegas, before we changed our name, there was quite literally resistance to participating because if you're not a coder, Code for Vegas is not for you. That was the thinking, even though it was not quite correct. Words have meaning. Naming things is important. So Innovate for Vegas fits into the model of the Innovation District, the Innovation Center. Innovate.Vegas is already a website about the innovation somewhat around the district, but also the innovation centers and some of the other things going on in that realm. So Innovate for Vegas kind of fits in anyway. And it's a little bit more generic. So you can be a coder, you can be creative, you can do a lot of other things as well. So we kind of split it down the middle, CodeFor and CreateFor, and those are both .Vegas top level domains. So as we have people taking an interest on the code side and the create side. And the funny thing is the creative volunteers who might be thinking, I'm here for the create efforts to create for Vegas, they might be able to help out the coders with what the CodeFor website looks like. And maybe the CodeFor volunteers can help out with some CreateFor creativity in the coding realm. So they really do match each other. They complement each other. The two groups are the two sides of the same coin, if you will. But the volunteers who participate in our projects will probably start off thinking they are more a coder. They're not a coder. That's what we're seeing initially. So hopefully we will resonate with both sides of that divide, which is completely artificial. But yeah, we got to start somewhere. So the volunteer projects are not only about making our smart city smarter, which is our tagline, making our smart city smarter. Making our smart city smarter is not, if I can say that more times, is not only about Internet of Things and writing mobile apps and doing the tech. There's more to life, I promise you. I've been doing this for a long time. So integrating the human part, the user experience, the user interface, the visualization, the audio, the accessibility. These are human factors that the CreateFor side will almost certainly sort of have some more insights into. I can already feel my voice is not going to cooperate. So let me grab some water here. All right, thank you for waiting. So not only are we working on these projects, as we have people participating in the different areas, and there's more than two, but so we'll have some coders, we'll have some creators, and we'll be working on projects. As they learn how to work on these projects and develop them and specify them and modify them and adapt them to actual user needs and so on, which is all part of doing anything, really. Listen to your customer, listen to your user. So there's that component, but we hope to also develop real job skills. So if you know how to code, and if you know how to create, and then you sit down with people on the other side, if you will, or if you work with other coders and creators, or if you want to collaborate on a project to, reach some useful outcome, the learning experience is real. There's collaboration opportunities. There's knowing how to specify and discuss and modify projects. There's mentoring and being a mentee. So you'll interact with peers and mentors and mentees. And at the end, you actually have real projects to add to your resume or curriculum vitae, if you will. So I like CB. I think it's more generic. So add it to your CV, you have a real project or more, multiple projects. And our thing with volunteers, every volunteer, especially because we're working for free, every volunteer gets full credit for their contributions. If projects get deployed, if they are monetizable, we fully expect volunteers to participate separately, right? We won't monetize them as our projects, but in the, I'll talk about this in a moment, but as we push them out in our labs deployment, which would be monetizable as a separate commercial entity, right? So we can put ads and we can take value for value contributions from the user, the community of users. It's not a user community really, but the people out and about in our city who might use our open transit based deployment with a better front end than the transit app, right? So somebody in the CreateFor side may make a more visually appealing and more accessible so that people with vision impairments can actually use our bus system more usefully. If they have a phone, but they can't read what's on the screen, we've left them out. And don't even get me started on, actual, unable to use the visual interface, right? So if you're completely relegated to phone calls, we have, all of us who have a computer in our pocket, we can make that work using audio and other cues, right? So these are the sorts of things that when we work on them and you work on them as a volunteer, you're actually ending up with a tangible outcome that we hope to deploy to the public so that they can use it. And then if they want to be supportive of you individually as a contributor, as to the team, to the volunteer organization that powers things, powered by Innovate for Vegas Foundation, for example, or maybe powered by Code for Vegas and Create for Vegas volunteers. That's something we can decide together, by the way. So if that's interesting, then that's one of the things we're going to do. This is not a negotiable item. We are doing that. So people that want to participate, you're in. So volunteering for our organization does have a path to one or more of job skills development, contributing to the communities that we are all part of. Hey, I didn't say just one community. There's many. There are many. So the community of transit users, the community of people who want to contribute to open data, right? So our projects are about transit, open data, a human interface for our city, right? So if you're a resident of Las Vegas, that's a giant community of people that have a lot in common and a lot not in common. The Welcome Project is a similar tool or platform or set of ideas that would apply to people visiting. Now, if you're visiting Las Vegas, you probably aren't going to be so concerned about utility bills up in the north or northwest or other parts of the area. But you may be more concerned with how to get around and how to find resources for people who aren't residents, right? So the Welcome Project takes that on, and then we have our own infrastructure project where the CodeFor and CreateFor websites might be deployed, designed first. And then we have the Be Local project, which is our identity-aware virtual identity platform. That sounds like a mouthful, and it is, but that will make a ton more sense when we have some of these other components further along so that people can actually see how it all fits together, and they all do. And there are more projects coming as we have a cohort for 2023 of proactive volunteers. We will spec projects and work on them. Volunteer Agile, that'll be a whole nother episode to talk about the goals there and so on. So volunteering is a thing. We are making, hopefully making it real and visible for people to understand how and why and what comes of volunteer time. And hopefully it'll be valued by others. It is valued by me. It will be valued by your peers, hopefully. And so volunteering, critical component of our endeavors. We do have hackathons every month. We are having a hackathon tomorrow as I record this. I don't know if I said today is the 24th of February as I record this. We'll publish it today. So we have a hackathon this weekend. We used to have our hackathon meetups the weekend before Tech Alley. Sorry. So our hackathon would take place, and then the following week, the idea was that we could have a show and tell, so to speak. We used to call our meetup at Tech Alley, the finale at Tech Alley. The intent was to show, hey, here's what people worked on at the hackathon and get some attention. But people were not working on things at our hackathons for 2022, so we didn't really have anything to show at the finale at Tech Alley. So we renamed it the Rally at Tech Alley. And unfortunately, the Rally at Tech Alley was quite well attended. It was a room full of people, 25, 30, who knows? I didn't really count, but it was full. Sometimes every seat taken. Unfortunately, though, as I said, that's the end, if you will. And projects don't end, but that was supposed to be a sort of a milestone where we talk about what we're working on and share. Here's some code I'm working on if anybody wants to be a part of it, or here's a visualization. Here's works in progress. But once again, attendance was getting in the way of actual effort. So we moved the rally into the hackathon. So now we completely focus on participation, and showing and telling will be obviously open to anyone who wants to attend our hackathons, which are open to the public in general. But the proof will be in the pudding, as they say. And so we will ideally deploy in our labs platform and allow people to try and use and play with and give feedback for various projects. So rather than having a single weekend hackathon, we actually spread it out over a month for a particular topic area, which we haven't kicked off a new topic for 2023 yet. We have several already in flight, but we would have a month-long focus on that. And we really encourage smaller teams, 2, 3, maybe up to 6 people, to take a part or component of an existing project or And that could be the specifications, documentation, any aspect of it, code, visualizations, so any of the coding and creating parts, any of it really. That we're not a software company with a hierarchy, so that's not always totally clear. But our hackathons are intended to be sort of a synchronization weekend that will otherwise enable people to work anytime they want. And so collaboration and motivation hopefully go hand in hand. Anybody who's ever had a workout partner at the gym or a band and you go to rehearsals, you all have to kind of settle on a time and participate proactively. And so that's part of the goal, and that's part of the bonus features of volunteering is the job skills creation and collaboration, and all the pieces all start to fit together when you actually spend time and eventually see it work. And in one of my example visions, it's someone who takes the bus, as I do. I sold my car a long time ago. That's another story some other time. But I'm frequently on the bus, and where today I speak with people about the many it's not an episode to bash completely, but the tools are not sufficient. So I listen to people's various stories. These are in Agile or other similar program methodologies, parlance, user stories, right? These are actual issues. Earlier I said, if you can't read the screen on your phone, one of the riders of many I've talked to is able to function. He's not, I don't think he's legally blind, so he wears glasses, but he gets around just fine. No white cane, no indication that he's limited in most ways, right? You would never think. But when you actually ask and you listen to the feedback, you learn that he is completely unable to use the application that our local public transit system has handed over user experience and rider experience to, because he just can't see it. It hasn't been designed with that in mind. So in a perfect world, our volunteer task force will be working on open transit, will be taking a bus ride somewhere, and someone will say, oh, this new app is much better, or the data is more accurate, or I'm able to use this, or I'm able to see it, or any number of ideas that we can work on. And one of the developers or contributors to the project will literally say, well, we did that. So we saw a problem, we fixed it, we addressed it, we deployed it, you're using it. It was developed right here. Local innovation by local innovators. So our hackathons are intended to drive that effort, to be a part of the overall sort of workflow and progression timeline, however you want to look at it. There are a variety of terms we can use, but it's essentially making things happen. And the hackathons are a part of it, connecting our volunteers, projects, time, and ideally progress. So that's always another discussion, right? So finally, I have mentioned some of the projects. I named them, but I didn't really get down into the details. The Open Transit project being the first one, and since I do myself make use of our public transit system to the best of my abilities, it's one that is near and dear to me. But our Smart Social project, which I did not mention, is also near and dear to me. I think it's an essential component, and since more people will use it, it's arguably, I don't want to say more important, but it will be higher visibility. So if I had to pick one, it would be Smart Social. If I had to pick two, the second would be Open Transit. Both of these projects have potential to be commercializable, right? So that's another component. So the labs is about deploying for public consumption so that people can try our projects, but also if anyone is familiar with open source development, you're welcome to sponsor an organization. Our GitHub organization has a sponsor button, right? So you can go there. You can go to our website, which our old website, codeforvegas.org, has a donate button on it. That goes to Stripe. GitHub also uses Stripe. So we have opportunities to... Oh. Why does Amazon have this silliness? Can you hear Alexa talking to me? Stop. This is what happens when companies don't listen to their users, but their products do. So So our projects, like I said, so Smart Social and Open Transit are probably the two that will be most visible. And if we can commercialize them, great. So we can have our labs projects that we can deploy for people. But if they turn into, if we have 40 million people visiting Vegas every year and they start to notice what we're working on, those could become commercial projects. So the vLocal project is specifically focused on people visiting. And that is going to be an entire episode on its own. So we're coming up on, we just crossed over 20 minutes. Thank you, Amazon smart speaker product that nobody likes. But I will ramp down from here. In the meantime, I thank you for listening. I hope you will share your podcast consumption with your friends so that more people will know what's going on. We do want to have guests. If you're listening to this before our hackathon or maybe after, but if you do listen to this and hopefully it works out, I'm hoping to have some field discussion that we can record and capture and integrate into the next podcast episode, which will be, I don't like the word podcast, episode of our audio program. You're not listening to this on an iPod, so, we are Williot guests at our hackathon this weekend, so I will ideally have some commentary that we can include, and as well more people either participating on a microphone and having a conversation, or maybe we'll do some live stream discussions. We do have a Discord server that nobody uses except for me. I'd welcome conversation and discussion about projects or ideas or our hackathons or this podcast, aka audio program. If you want to be a guest, if you want to participate, if we can start doing live streaming, we can do text, or we can do audio. Will we do video streaming? Maybe. The other final thing, in order to be accessible, we do need to eventually have transcripts. Obviously, live streams are tricky. Closed captioning can be approximated with automated systems. I know YouTube is fairly good at that. We'll see. But the goal is to make all of our projects accessible and aware of people who are not always able to see or hear as well as everyone else, or as you, maybe. So I'll leave it there. In the meantime, let's innovate for Vegas. Thank you for listening, and we'll speak to you next time.